Are you sick of 2-5-1s yet? No? That's what I thought. So today we're going to keep talking about those special 2-5-1s, but today we're going to be talking about tritone substitution. So what is tritone substitution? Let's check it out, yeah? And quickly before we do that, let's just review what we've covered so far. We've got our plain old vanilla 2-5, 2 minor 9, 5 9, 1 9, beautiful. And then we started messing around with altering the dominant chord. So that was options like the flat 9, the 13 flat 9, love that one, and the flat 13, flat 9, that's also wonderful. And then we started mixing in some elements from the minor 2-5, such as making the 2 minor 7 flat 5, and resolving minor, of course. And then we realized that we could mix and match any of these chords that we've already covered. So what do we do next in this big grand playground of 2-5-1s? Well, the next thing we do is, you guessed it, tritone substitute. Let's strip this down real quick and take a look at what makes a dominant chord a dominant chord. Let's go back to our dominant chord, and we're just going to do a true dominant, which is going to be a 1-3-5-7. Yep, that's that. Nice and predictable. So the fifth in a chord isn't as important as you think it is. It just kind of reinforces and strengthens the tonic. And actually, if you listen closely to a single note, there's a very strong presence of the fifth as an overtone already in there. Especially if you do this on a real acoustic piano or a guitar, any acoustic instrument, you will actually hear the fifth already sitting on top of this note. Like right now I hear it. Very subtly, but it's already there. That's part of the overtone series. Now I might drop some overtone series knowledge on y'all in one of these videos when the time comes. In the meantime, do some research on it. It is absolutely spectacularly fascinating. Yeah. But in the meantime, back to our dominant chord. So for the reason that the fifth is not only already present in the fundamental of just playing a G, but it doesn't really contribute to the quality of the chord, I'm just going to take that out for now. And we're just going to focus on what makes a dominant chord, which obviously is the root. I'm going to put the root down here. The third, which is what defines the chord as being major or minor, and this is a major chord because it has a major third. And the seventh, and what makes this a dominant chord as opposed to a major seventh chord, is the fact that it's a flat seventh. So let's take a look at these two notes right here, this third and seventh of the dominant chord. Now, very interestingly, in the key of C major, these scale degrees are the fourth and the seventh. The seventh is just down the octave. Why don't I take the seventh just down the octave in general? So now we have seventh, 3. Now these notes here, what are characteristic of the dominant chord and have some fantastic physical properties, are a true tritone. You may have heard about this interval before. Now what it actually means is tritone. 3 tones. A tone being a whole step. Remember, a half step just being this amount. A whole step is a full tone. This right here. So 3 tones from F is going to be 1, 2, 3. There it is. The tritone. This interval here is a tritone. So what's very interesting about this interval, the tritone, is it perfectly bisects the octave. Now remember, an octave has 12 half steps. And you could go ahead and count them if you don't believe me. And a tritone is comprised of 6 half steps, perfectly cutting it in half. So if I go up 6 half steps from F, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, boom. And I go up another 6 from where I just landed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm right back where I started, which gives it this very interesting symmetrical quality. If I do this, I'm just going up perfectly bisecting the octave. Very, very strange. Also strange that such a symmetrically seeming interval would be so unstable and dissonant. In fact, it's basically the most unstable interval in terms of the physics of sound. And when I say it's unstable physically, I mean that it actually is the opposite of resonant in terms of how overtones ring in the overtone series. Once again, do your research. It's very fascinating that this interval inherently is unresolved. It has tension, which is what makes it so appealing, especially if you contextualize it with the bass note and make it a 5 chord. Whoa, yeah, now that we've talked about all that, and you really get to appreciate what's happening with this chord, the built-in dissonance, the tension, but it's a fun tension. It's like, just waiting just a little bit to go have an amazing dinner, just getting a little bit hungry because you know that meal is going to be slapping. So, back to our tritone substitution. Remember how this interval is completely symmetric. So what if we take that same principle of how all of these are a perfect tritone apart? What if we just shifted the bass note by a tritone? Now, a tritone away from G would be D flat. And I'm just going to keep these notes the same. Right now, we have the 7th and the 3rd. So what if I just move the bass note to D flat and keep the right hand the same? Let's see what happens. Whoa! Whoa! That's crazy. Let's take a look at what just happened. We had G7, and then we shifted the left hand down a tritone. Whoa! And now we have D flat 7. I didn't do anything. All I did was change the left hand. Let's look what happened though. What was the 7th of G suddenly became the 3rd of D flat. What was the 3rd of G suddenly became the 7th of D flat. And this exact phenomenon here is what tritone substitution is. You are exploiting this symmetry, this invertible symmetry of the tritone, the two intervals of which make up the 7th and the 3rd of the chord. This is honestly one of my favorite concepts in all of music harmony that I've stumbled on to this day. It's just so cool and phenomenal and yet inherent to the physics of sound. And we've just kind of, pulled this out of the ether of what has always and always will be and turned it into something incredibly practical and functional in music that's gone through evolution from Baroque music to jazz to whatever modern music sounds like today. So now, how do we work this into the 2-5? Well, very easily. Let's take our variation of the regular 2-5 where we had a flat 13, flat 9 as the dominant chord, and review what that is. Hell yeah, that's beautiful. So now we're going to tritone substitution effect this one, which means that instead of playing a G in the left hand, we're going to play a D flat, which is a tritone away from G. And I'm going to keep the right hand the same, and let's just see what happens, yeah? Here we go. Ooh. Oh, I love that. One more time, check it out. Don't do anything different with the right hand. God damn. Oh, so good. One more time. Oh yeah, just imagine Sinatra or Nat King Cole just going hard over that. Let's take a quick look at what happened to the intervals here in our 5 chord. So what used to be the 7th of G became the 3rd. What used to be the flat 9 of G became the perfect 5th of D flat. What used to be the 3rd of G is now the 7th. And what used to be the flat 13 became the 9th. How perfect is that? Let's review it again. Wow, one of my all-time faves. Hey, remember, you should be practicing all these in as many keys as possible, all keys. So let's just take a look at this in the key of F. Why don't we? So our 2 in F is going to be G minor 9. And quickly review what our regular 5 flat 13 flat 9 would be. So that's going to be 7 flat 9 3 flat 13 resolved to a nice F major 9. So now we're going to tritone sub it. Here we go. G minor 9. Ooh, G flat 9 resolved to F major 9. One more time. Hell Yes. Boom. So there you go. That's just an introduction to what can be done with tritone substitution. I'm gonna have to do more on this in the next vid. In the meantime, get to know this concept and really explore what's happening with the symmetry of this fascinating interval, the tritone, and how the roles of the intervals exchange but still have the same physical and functional properties. It's really beautiful stuff. Thanks so much for watching. So much love to y'all as always. Stay Swiss.